Pull up a stool. This is the first one. We'll call it a practice run. A pilot, whatever you want to call it. The glasses are still a little cloudy and the lights aren't quite right. But the tap's on and the door's open. Welcome to Happy Hour Horror with Killian. I'm not going to do jump scare YouTube nonsense. No rubber masks. No cheap stings on the soundtrack. This is the kind of horror you talk about after last call. When somebody leans in and says, "No, wait, this actually happened." Paranormal stuff that won't stay in the past. True crime nightmares. Crazy ex stories that go way past "they won't leave me alone." Tinder and dating horror that starts with a match and ends somewhere you never wanted to be. When I narrate them, like we're sitting here across the table. Short, tight, no fluff. You can finish one before the ice melts. Look, this isn't just my stories. If something happened to you, or someone you know, and it still sits wrong in your chest, send it in. Real experiences, personal encounters, well-written originals. I'll pick the ones that hit the hardest and read them out loud. Same way I do the rest. Names changed, details kept sharp. So, first session, first pour. If it works, we'll keep the lights low to the skin. Grab a drink, settle in. Happy hour is Happy hour horror is open. That's a mouthful. His profile looked almost unfair. Mid-30s, sharp jaw, dark hair that fell just right, and eyes that held the camera like they already knew a secret. The bio simply read, "Looking for something real." She liked that. Most of them tried too hard. They texted for 4 days. He was polite, asked questions, never pushed. When he suggested coffee at a quiet place near the river, she agreed without the usual knot in her stomach. Men who looked like that rarely needed to be dangerous. The world usually handed them whatever they wanted. The cafe was half empty when she arrived. He stood when she walked in. Photographs had not done him justice. He was taller, broader in the shoulders, and the kind of face that made the barista glance twice. He shook her hand like they were meeting for a job interview. His palm was dry, warm, ordinary. They talked about work, about the city, about the dog. He laughed at the right moments, low and easy, and every time he did, she felt a small stupid flush of being chosen by someone who could have easily chosen anyone. When the check came, he paid without making a show of it. Outside, under the streetlights, he asked if she wanted to walk a little. Of course she said yes. They stopped on the pedestrian bridge. The water moved black and slow beneath them. He leaned on the railing, profile clean against the lights, and looked at the far bank for a long moment before he spoke. "I don't usually do this," he said. She smiled, waiting for the usual line about not dating apps or not believing in chemistry this fast. Instead, he said, "I followed you home last week." The words sat between them like something dropped and not picked up. She laughed once, sharp, thinking it was a bad joke. He didn't smile. The handsome face stayed perfectly still. "Tuesday. You wore the gray coat with the hood. You stopped at the corner store for cigarettes, even though you told me you quit. You live on the 3rd floor. The light in your kitchen stays on until almost 1. I watch you unlock the door. You always struggle with the key." Her hand tightened on the strap of her bag. The bridge suddenly felt very narrow. He turned his head just enough to look at her. His voice stayed soft, almost gentle, the same voice that had made her feel safe across a coffee table. "I thought about knocking. I thought about letting myself in while you were in the shower." The super leaves the side door propped open when he smokes. "I've already been inside the building. I've stood outside your door and listened to you move around. I've stood there long enough to know which floorboard creaks." A couple walked past them, laughing too close. She could have called out. She didn't. He straightened up from the railing. The movement was unhurried, controlled. The attractive face never changed expression. "I'm not going to hurt you tonight," he said. "I just wanted you to know that I can. That I've already decided I will, eventually. And that when it happens, you'll understand it started long before the bridge." He offered his arm, polite as a dinner date, the same easy charm that had made her say yes to coffee. She stared at it for 3 long seconds. Then she took it. They walked in silence, the 6 blocks to her building. He matched her pace exactly. When they reached the stoop, he stopped, gave her a small nod, and stepped back into the dark between the streetlights. The last thing she saw was the clean line of his jaw as he turned away. She climbed the stairs with the key already in her hand. On the 3rd floor, she locked the door, the deadbolt, and the chain. She turned on every light. She sat on the edge of the bed with her phone in both hands and did not call anyone. Outside, somewhere below her window, a lighter flicked once and then went quiet. 3 weeks later, the neighbor across the hall noticed a smell. It started faint, the way spoiled meat does when the air conditioning is set too low. By the 4th day, it had thickened into something that clung to the carpet in the hallway and made people hold their breath when they passed the door. Someone finally called the building manager. The manager called the police for a wellness check. They forced the lock at 11:17 on a Thursday morning. The chain had been set from the inside. The deadbolt had been turned. Every light in the apartment was on. She was on the bedroom floor, face down, one arm twisted behind her. The gray coat she had worn the night of the bridge was folded neatly over the back of a chair. There were no signs of forced entry. No broken glass, no struggle that left marks on the walls. The medical examiner would later note that she had been dead approximately 9 days. The cause was listed as strangulation. The report mentioned soft tissue damage consistent with someone who had known exactly how long to apply pressure and when to stop. No fingerprints were found that did not belong to her. No DNA under the nails. No witnesses who had seen anyone enter or leave after the night she walked home on a stranger's arm. The local paper ran a short piece of the following morning. Woman found dead in apartment after neighbors report foul odor. Police seeking information after wellness check reveals homicide. No suspects identified. The article mentioned the dating app only in passing. It did not mention the bridge. It did not mention the man with the clean jaw and the soft voice who had once offered his arm like a gentleman. It simply stated that investigators were reviewing her phone records and that the public should remain vigilant. Somewhere in the city, a lighter flicked once in the dark and then went quiet again.